Hi, I'm Jeff from New York. Please like and subscribe.
Episode 78, Going to the Hospital. As soon as Sophia left, Lelaine threw herself at Jeff and hugged him tightly, sobbing. When Elsa and the other girls had been beating her, Lelaine had felt completely alone. Now that she was in Jeff's arms, she felt warm and safe.
Why did they say such awful things about my mother?
She asked.
I know how hard my mom's life is. She works hard every day, and whenever I was sick, she would get up really early and go out to get medicine for me. She never complains. I don't care if they make fun of me or hit me, but why do they have to insult my mother?
When she remembered the look on Elsa's face when she had insulted Lelaine's mother, Lelaine couldn't control her emotions. Her voice broke and she stopped on the ground, her whole body shaking.
It's okay, Lelaine.
Jeff said. Seeing her like this, he grew even more worried. He hated the people who had hurt her so badly. He gently patted her back to calm her down as quickly as possible.
Don't worry,
he assured her.
If anyone hurts you, I'll make sure they pay for it. I will always be by your side to protect you. How are you feeling now? Any better?
As he comforted her, she finally calmed down.
Who beat you?
Jeff asked, gently wiping away her tears.
Tell me and I'll deal with it.
His eyes held a trace of viciousness.
It was 3 of my bandmates.
Lelaine answered, speaking softly. She was no longer as upset as before.
Just forget about it. If they try this again, then you can do something.
Lelaine didn't want to cause trouble with Elsa and the other girls. After all, they were in a band together, and they would have to get along.
But Lelaine,
Jeff wanted to give those girls a good beating.
No, listen to me.
She said, gently looking at him.
I'll talk to them, and if they attack me again, then I'll let you beat them up for me.
He frowned. Although he didn't want to let this go, he had to listen to her.
Will you come with me to the Secret Garden guest house to see my mom?
She asked. More than anything, she just wanted to see her mother. Even just sitting quietly beside her would make Lelaine feel better.
Okay.
Jeff was deeply moved. He lightly touched her face and smiled.
Before you go and see your mom, maybe you should wash your face.
Lelaine took a quick shower, and then they left to visit her mother. Jeff held her hand as they walked. It was 9:00 p.m., and the streets were brightly lit, with many people walking on both sides of the road, enjoying the cool air as they strolled under the trees. As Jeff and Lelaine walked down the steps of the building, Jeff's cell phone rang. It was Kyle Sanchez. Jeff frowned slightly, thinking that he must have been invited to a party again. Mr. Florento? Kyle's panicked voice came through the phone. There seems to be a serious problem with Mrs. West. She's been taken to the New York City General Hospital. Do you want to come and see her? Hearing this, Jeff was stunned.
Something happened to Isabel?
He asked.
What's going on?
He put the phone on speaker so that Lelaine could hear properly.
What happened to my mother?
Lelaine asked anxiously, her chest growing tight with worry. I sent someone to accompany Mrs. West on a tour of New York City. Kyle told them. Everything was fine until an hour ago, when they were out eating. Mrs. West fainted after complaining about being in pain, and she was taken to the hospital emergency room. She's now in intensive care. By the time Kyle had finished speaking, Lelaine's legs were about to collapse under her.
Okay, tell the doctor to look after Isabel.
Jeff said.
If anything happens to her, they won't work in that hospital again.
He ended the call.
Jeff, take me to the hospital.
Lelaine said, panicking as she clutched his arm.
Please hurry. I need to go to the hospital.
She was very anxious and scared and couldn't think about anything else. She just needed to go to the hospital to see her mother. She had an ominous foreboding that was growing more and more intense. Her entire body trembled.
Don't be afraid.
Jeff whispered into her ear.
Trust me, your mom will be fine.
He kept his arm around her and they walked to the side of the road. It wasn't easy to get a taxi. Jeff felt Lelaine trembling in his arms, and he couldn't let her suffer any longer. Leaving her for a moment, he walked into the middle of the road and forced a black Audi to stop.
Do you have a death wish?
The driver yelled. Jeff threw a wad of money at the driver's face through the open window before jumping back to the sidewalk. On seeing the money, the owner of the car smiled, his eyes gleaming. There were at least $1,000 there.
Don't just stay there.
Jeff yelled.
Pull over here.
The driver realized that the young man who had just thrown money at him was calling him, and he hurriedly drove over. Jeff opened the back door of the car and got inside with Lelaine. He told the driver to take them to the general hospital as quickly as possible. He sat with his arms around Lelaine as he comforted her.
Don't worry.
He murmured.
Your mom will be fine. Trust me.
The car stopped abruptly.
Move it.
Jeff shouted angrily at the driver. He just wanted to get Lelaine to her mother quickly.
Young man, it's not that I don't want to move, it's that I can't.
The driver said, his tone bitter.
The road is blocked.
Jeff looked and saw more than 10 young people in front of the car. He had no idea what they were doing. He opened the car window, stuck out his head and shouted at them.
Hey, get out of the way.
The crowd were all gathered around a rich young man called Jasper, who had been confessing his love to a girl. And now he was being humiliated by Jeff shouting at him.
Get lost.
Jasper shouted.
If you interrupt me again, I'll kill you.
Go another way.
Someone yelled.
We won't let you interfere.
Go away. Came another shout. Don't hold up. Jasper's declaration of love. A tall young man walked aggressively toward Jeff, hurling curse words.
Hey, why haven't you turned back yet? Are you looking for a beating?
The driver was frightened and was about to turn around.
Don't move.
Jeff shouted at him.
There's another route.
The driver said fearfully.
We can get close, and then you can walk the rest of the way from there. That guy's almost reached us. And if we don't leave now, we'll get beaten up.
I told you not to move.
Jeff said as he opened the car door. The tall young man approached and raised his fist, ready to strike. Jeff didn't wait for the man's fist to make contact. He grabbed the young man's hair and dragged his head down hard. At the same time, he pulled up his right knee and hit the man in the face, knocking him unconscious. He punched the man again and dropped him on the ground. The young man had been defeated because he had underestimated Jeff's strength. The driver had planned to abandon Jeff and run away, but then Jeff had beaten the young man. Within seconds, the driver was completely dumbfounded. Even louder curses began to come from the crowd, and the driver saw the 10 young men rushing toward Jeff. Jasper told the others to teach Jeff a lesson while he stayed behind to talk to the girl. The driver panicked, believing that he was about to be beaten up. His first thought was to escape. Just as he was about to turn the car around, Jeff cursed and angrily walked to the driver's side. He yanked open the car door and shouted,
Get out.
Hey, what are you doing?
The driver asked. Shocked, Jeff pulled him from the car and got into the driver's seat.
Get in.
He yelled, slamming the door closed. The owner of the car looked at the 10 young men who were running toward them, and then he scampered around to the passenger side and got in. Through the rearview mirror, Jeff glanced at Lelaine, who looked sad. Then he looked at the young men rushing toward him.
Fine, then.
He thought.
Since you're so determined to block my way, don't blame me for being rude.
Jeff stepped on the accelerator and the car shot forward.
Hey, what are you doing?
The car owner asked, worriedly.
If you crash into someone, you'll kill them.
Shut up.
Jeff roared. When the young men saw the car speeding toward them, they were shocked.
Don't be afraid.
One of the men yelled.
He won't dare to hit us.
Come and stand in front of him.
None of the men believed that Jeff would dare to crash into them. After all, there were 10 of them. They continued moving toward Jeff, but the car's speed kept increasing, without any signs of slowing down. The tires screeched loudly as the car charged toward them like a ferocious beast made of steel. Only then did the men realize that Jeff wasn't joking, and they quickly ran away. Jeff knocked over a few of the young men, sending them falling to the ground, screaming in pain. Jasper was still pestering the girl he wanted when Jeff's car came toward him. The girl standing beside Jasper was completely stunned. When she saw the car, she covered her ears, closed her eyes and screamed. Frightened, Jasper fled, but he couldn't avoid being hit by the car. He rolled a few times and landed next to the sidewalk. Only when she heard the car roar away did the girl dare to open her eyes. Watching its taillights disappear, she thought about what had happened when Jeff had walked over earlier. She had seen his face and hadn't been able to look away. She mumbled in confusion.
That man was so handsome.
August 2023. Top super thanks purchasers. Thank you so much.